Hey class, uh, welcome back to my studio. Uh, now I'm going to do the cutting video, demonstration rather, on what I drew out in the last video. So, thank you guys, you can see that, yes. First of all, you want to make sure that you have your metal ruler, your cutting mat, or a piece of cardboard to cut on top of, or you're going to cut your table, whatever you're working on at home, and your X-Acto blade, and additional blades if necessary, and it probably will be. How do you know if your blade is dull? Well, really, when it becomes more difficult to cut, you'll be able to tell that as you go. Cutting paper dulls a blade pretty quickly, so keep that in mind. The tip of this blade is missing. It's broken off, but I'm going to try it to start with. We don't want to waste any blades if we don't need to. So a lot of the protocols, I guess, that are in this demonstration, we kind of went over in class when I did the demonstration on how to cut the Bristol board or Bristol paper for the first phase of this project. But those rules still apply. It's just since we are dealing with a thickness of material here, right? We have to be more precise than we were possibly in cutting the Bristol paper. So, just as a reminder, use a ruler every single time you cut. Now, I am going to pull toward me, and I know that as I went over before, you know, Boy Scouts and so forth, they tell you, don't pull a blade towards you. But you have less dexterity if you're pulling away from you or horizontally. Additionally, you will not be able to adjust or be in as much control of the pitch of your blade. You want it to be as close to perpendicular to the ground plane you are cutting as possible. Don't cut and turn it this way or this way. If you are cutting across in this direction, then it's very easy to twist the blade without knowing it. So the way I'm going to start is I have my ruler right on top of my drawn line so that I can see the drawn line, but just like I just drew it, I'm placing the blade next to the ruler, and I am really pressing down with my fingers. You can see this one's turning white. That's how hard I'm pressing down, so the ruler doesn't slide off. I'm pushing down not terribly hard into the cardboard and then pull toward me. Toward yourself, not toward me. Go through it a couple of times until you know you have gotten through it. When you are running in line with the corrugation, if you look here, you can tell that the corrugation is running in this direction. If you look here, you can't see the corrugation, so it is running in this direction. When you cut in line with the corrugation, as I just did, you have very little resistance. However, when you cut against it, you're going to have more resistance. So just be aware of that. It might take you a couple of more times to cut through the line, or the material rather. Same situation here. See, I get resistance every quarter of an inch or so. Just keep and maintain pressure. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. And I'm going to run through it 3 times. I don't think I'm quite there yet since I still heard some of that corrugation. That's probably good. Yep, now it's free. And it's difficult to tell when you're just looking at it by eye, but if you look down this edge, it's pretty square from here to there. Same thing here. Relatively square from here to here. It's not cut at a bevel or an angle. So what I would recommend now, before you cut the larger shapes out, 1, 2, 3, 4, cut out as many of the slots as you can. Well, we can do this one, and this one, before you take it away from the larger piece of cardboard and cut it into smaller pieces. It's easier to work with a larger piece than it is smaller units. So if I'm going to cut a slot. I'm going to line up my ruler exactly where I would have placed it to draw the line. And it's better to start where the slot stops on the interior of the piece of cardboard than it is to start from the outer edge. It's better to start the way I was than this way. Reason being, it's difficult to tell where you're stopping here when you get to the interior of the piece of cardboard. So, same situation. I'm placing the tip of my blade right at the end of the slot. I'm pressing in and I'm pulling toward me. You would pull toward yourself. And I'm going to move over and do the same thing on the other side of the slot. And remember, we drew these things out to be 1/8 of an inch wide. And the reason why it is 1/8 of an inch wide is because our material is 1/8 of an inch wide. So these points, you don't really need to line your ruler up to cut that small line. You can very easily, if you cut through both sides, you go into the back, push it out that way, and oftentimes they just tear off. You can also just put your blade in there and cut it a little bit and it will tear away without any problem. Let's do another one. And you notice that I am still attempting to keep my blade perpendicular to the ground plane. I'm not twisting it this way or this way. And now I'm going to try this method. So as you can see, I have not cut the little piece here. Oh, sorry, you can't see that here. But if I just poke it like that, it comes out without an issue. No problem on either side. Something to note, all right? So we are using 1/8 of an inch cardboard. If by some chance your cardboard is a little bit thinner or a little bit thicker, that is how thick you cut your slots, period. Your slots, all of these things, even in the other video on this sheet, if you find that your cardboard is thicker or thinner than 1/8 of an inch, then this dimension will change for every single one of these slots. Sorry, there wasn't one there. Okay, hopefully you guys caught that. Continuing on. I have one more exterior slot here, which I'm going to cut out. It's against the corrugation, so it's a little more difficult. Now, I can't get to any more of these slots, so I might as well cut the rest of the pieces apart. I know a lot of you all have different situations at home. Hopefully you can just set up a little spot that you're free from distractions and can concentrate on this exercise. Something doesn't feel quite right in terms of my squareness, so I'm going to try to use my cutting mat to make sure that I'm cutting on the right trajectory. And not quite. Let's go there and there. Okay, that's better. Measure twice, cut once. That is huge. Reason being, if you are using a more expensive material, then if you don't measure twice, you might mess up your cut and ruin your material. And at this point, if you have good clean cardboard, that stuff's pretty valuable because nobody wants to go out and buy more. So I think you get what's going on here. So I don't want to waste your time anymore. I have some here that are pre-cut. And to arrange them, let's see, like this and here and here. They look very much like this. So, pick that up for a second. And there. Basically your handout just upside down. So, what happens now is these guys will come together, 2-inch slot, 2-inch slot. You have 4 inches of width. So if you want a piece of cardboard, this piece of cardboard to travel 4 inches, you want this edge to end up over here, you cut a 2-inch slot and a 2-inch slot. If this was 5 inches wide and this was 5 inches wide, my slot would be 2.5 inches. If it were 6 inches wide from here to here and here to here, then this slot would be 3 inches. So anytime you have 2 pieces of cardboard and you are using a slot to slot attachment, you are making your slots, 2 of them, half the distance you want the pieces of cardboard to travel. So 4-inch piece of cardboard, 4-inch piece of cardboard, 2-inch slot, 2-inch slot. They come together and they stop where they're supposed to at the end of each side. You have a plus sign on both sides or an X, depending on how you want to look at it. So you see here we have the 2 other slots for our 2 other pieces. We'll slide those on. I should probably do one at a time. Trying to make it slightly cinematic for you guys. And now I have a cube with 1 plane per axis. And yes, that one. Very easily tweak them so that they line up perfectly. Okay? I want you to try to execute this based on the 2 videos that I have made so far. Okay? That's it.